Illumo is a video lecture series brought together by a collaboration among SIBM Pune's student councils, namely the alumni team, iSmart, and RSD team, to help the students bridge the gap between textbook learning and industry realities. For our inaugural session, we have with us Mr. Arijit Chakrabarti, Associate Vice President at groupM and an SIBM Pune alumnus from the batch of 2001. Mr. Chakrabarti, a certified data science enthusiast, currently heads the creative functions nationally for the out of home and cinema practice. He's an industry stalwart with over 19 years of experience across multiple sales and marketing functions in leading organizations like Madison's Outdoor Media Solutions, Bennett Coleman and Co. Limited, Tata Docomo, and Greenlam Industries. Sir, it's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure here as well.
So, sir, how do you guide, like as a fresh MBA graduate or even as an aspiring MBA student, what would be your recommendations for a person to get started with analytics?
Sure. So, I'll speak from my anecdotal evidence. So I was exposed to computers at my time pretty early on. Now I think everyone's a digital native. So I had my first personal computer, which you'll have to look it up online, ZX Spectrum. It was basically a keyboard like a Raspberry Pi now. Nowadays, it's ZX Spectrum is a computer, and its biggest feature that I think it had 16 KB of memory. So we used to use cassette tapes, cassette tapes we used to record in manual, make these strange noises, and that's how that was the storage medium for it. Regular cassette. I don't think you've even seen a cassette tape. Am I correct?
Sir, like I have seen cassette tapes. My parents.
You have? Okay, wow. That gives me happiness.
I still have a couple of VCDs and cassettes at my home. We are trying to fix our old VCD player nowadays.
Awesome. So my daughters have, I believe, not seen CDs also. Literally, CDs have also become completely gone. But anyway, so these are the days of high-speed internet, right? So, and it's been further transitioned thanks to COVID and the fact that we're all remote working. Home is where your life is literally. So anyway, so the point being that from that time itself, I started off by studying BASIC, beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code, and that was when I was a child. And then there was a Rajiv Gandhi Foundation which kind of promoted this, to get programming involved in the school curriculum itself. I done that, then suddenly I lost touch, and it continued for quite a period of time. I was completely dissociated. I did believe in it. But beyond Excel, I literally had no access to understanding data further. But what I would strongly recommend is that yes, Python is it's a critical component of the data science story. I believe it's extremely important to be conversant with it. But I will not also negate the power of Excel. Excel Solver allows you to do a lot of regression analysis, which normally I wasn't aware of. Like I got to know of it last year itself. So regression analysis, etc., which are purviews of high-level programming of Python, etc., can also be done on Excel. For your quick fix related work, yes, definitely have strong skills with Excel. But at the same time, if you do have the time to learn Python, and Python is not just from a data science perspective, I think it's life-changing also. I remember there was a conversion for a new audio file that I had to do. So Python helps you do that as well, from a MP4 format to a WAV format. Instead of uploading your audio format, it was actually an office-related work. Instead of uploading it to a third-party website which promises to do it to you for free, you don't know whether it's dodgy, whether it'll give you the right output or not. So being able to sit and just code it on Python, it takes like 3 lines. It's a sub-process module which can be used. It just takes three or 4 lines of code, and you can iterate it through a loop. So even if you have 150 files that you need to get converted quickly, you can do that. So from a life perspective also, I believe Python is very critical, but don't ignore Excel. And the most important thing I believe is just have a general sense of numbers. As long as you have a general control over data, over numbers, you're able to scan through it, detect anomalies, understand what trends and being able to put together basic charts and graphs. I think that's also the right direction for data. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be able to run an artificial neural network, or a CNN, RNN. I mean, God knows what else one can talk about. But it's not imperative. As long as you have a sense of numbers and you have a sense of what the business objective is, I think you're relatively set. People with programming skill, etc., there'll always be people. I personally believe there'll always be people better than me. I would never be able to achieve and say that I know everything really well. But as long as I know a couple of things, a couple of modules in Python, for example, really well, which I believe are critical for my work, the rest I can kind of search and figure out. So I have a general sense. Definitely do learn Python, but ensure that you are very conversant with Excel. I think these three skills should kind of take you through as far as data is concerned.
So you mentioned Python and you mentioned Excel. So Python programming language, Excel being a tool. Apart from these, sir, like what specific tools would you recommend for us, like people who are just starting out in data analytics? Like a major aspect for at least an MBA grad would be to visualize data. And nowadays we hear terms like Tableau and Power BI. So of these, sir, what would you recommend?
Yeah, sure. So Excel by itself has a lot of good, visualization technique present in it, and that's pretty useful. In fact, I think around about early 2019, my organization sent me on a 2-day course for Power BI, and that's how my tryst with data science kind of evolved to something where today, yeah, I actively do program in Python, and I'm able to work on it. See, data is huge nowadays, right? I mean, even the sort of data that I use, I would say is small in comparison to a lot of data that is used by other organizations. Now, to be able to take insights from it, use inbuilt capabilities of artificial intelligence to be able to predict trends, understand issues, detect anomalies. Power BI helps you doing that. So I've personally learned Power BI. In fact, after learning Power BI, I came back, and I think in a month I developed 3 different tools. And the best part about Power BI is that it's not code intensive. You don't need to write any code. You just need to put 2 and 2 together. But at the same time, it helps in the democratization of data. So what I did was I created those 3 tools. And earlier, which was the let's say the domain of only the strategy team, in the sense that there are certain data points, certain key elements which need to be added into presentations when we send it to clients to help explain the reason why a particular plan is being sent to you. I kind of made that open. And I kind of let everyone in the client servicing team assist. One of the immediate concerns was that should we open it to the entire client servicing team? Would they be able to use it? And Power BI is extremely intuitive, and once you have your basic charts and graphs, your selectors, etc., put into place, it is extremely user friendly, and they have actively been using it. And what that has helped is that as a team, it has freed us of a lot of the repetitive work. Like for example, there is something known as ADEX data, which comes into us for out of home as well. Out of home ADEX is slightly different from the regular media ADEX. And I remember when I joined in 2017, I had a team member who literally her entire day from morning till evening would just make those reports, would just make those outputs, Excel outputs, put it together, do the selection, send it out. I used to find that as a phenomenal waste of time. So the moment I discovered Power BI, and she would, day in and day out, I'd ask her in the morning, okay, what have you been up to? I've got these 5 clients, I've got to send this out. I said, okay. Then I meet her at lunch and I say, okay, so how's your day been going? Are those done? Yeah, I've got 5 more. I said, okay, great. And then in the evening, I check up, I've got to do these 5 tomorrow. So, and this used to be a daily thing. So, and in fact, she was also from SIBM. So she was a fresher also joining. And I could, clearly understand the sort of, after a point in time, it just becomes disappointing, that my parents have taught me MBA to do this, to just sit on an Excel and just get output. But, even I'm stuck there because, that is an important requirement and that has to be done. So, one of the things which drove me was the trouble that she was in, that this was her entire life literally for a couple of months. Then we developed this and we democratized it. We gave it across to the entire client servicing team. They could do their own. They would do the couple of clicks, download the data, download that chunk of data that they needed, all on their own. And today I get zero requests. But but what it has helped us is move to the next level therefore. Because if you're stuck doing that repetitive work over and over again instead of automation, you're not going to be able to think out of the box ever. You're going to be stuck in that domain, that simple job, and your entire life's going to, get finished there. So Power BI has helped us, do a lot of automation, and Addix is one example. We have also automated, a lot of data pertaining to client insights. So a lot of those insighting, which, the strategy team, they will get back and they will tell you, and it's some voodoo science that we play with. I said, no, it's no voodoo science. It's pretty simple, and you guys can access it. We did training sessions with the entire client servicing team, and we showed them that you select this, select this, select this, you'll get this output. This is what the graph means. And it's a simple graph. I mean, come on, client servicing team, everybody's MBA, even there. So I was just reading those graphs, taking the outputs, and yeah, at the same time, its data is not only about what you can see in front of it. It's the insight which you draw from it. And therefore, data's life kind of, it helps you write a poem. So I'm from an English literature background. So, it's kind of poetic as well. Because the same graph that you would see and the same graph that I would see might represent two very diametrically different things. And it's your own. And I can tell you at the same time that neither are you wrong, neither am I wrong in my interpretation of it. That's where the poetry, the joy of data comes in, and that's something that, now everybody can participate in. It's not something that only a closed team of, a few group, who's sitting there behind those laptops, doing that work. No, I mean, in fact, we've democratized it so much that it's accessible on your phone. Power BI, you have the app on your phone, and I have made those links online as well. They can access it on the phone. In fact, I encourage them to go ahead and show it on the phone in front of their clients and actually talk about it. That, this is what the data is showing. Let's discuss what's the good output from it. This is what the data is showing. So let's see how we can improve it further. And I actively encourage them. I believe there are a couple of the client servicing team members who've gone ahead and sat in client meetings and said, see, this is what we can draw insights from the data. And it has automated WO built in, AI built in. So you can understand trends and all, and it will also tell you at the back end why that trend came into play. So it's epic stuff. So I strongly believe that yes, Power BI is very critical, and it's something that everybody should learn. It's very easy on the uptake. The only thing I believe it's paid. So the good part is that our organization has taken a license for it. Otherwise, it's a bit of a steep cost. I think it's even at a personal level, slightly steep cost. Whereas you have R in Python, you have Matplotlib. Matplotlib is crazy. The sort of formatting that you can do, the level of formatting that you can do is mind blowing. I'd made a couple, where you can take up maps, where you can, scroll through timelines. In fact, I did one for one of my first projects when I was studying on COVID, on how COVID infections are rising and all. So, you can change the color on them. And yeah, it's not very simple code, but at the same time, if you want to make a simple, intuitive chart, you can do it in one line of code. If you want to make something that's really, really bringing the data alive, has proper annotations and all that, yes, you might need to write maybe 100 lines of code. But it's there online. You need to search for it. You need to have it in your mind, and you can. So that's my take as far. And visualization is very critical. Very cool.
Well, so personally, I'd like to thank you for that fresh take on data. Usually, data is shown as something which is black and white. You're either right or you're wrong. But data as a poem is something that opens the possibility to a lot of people, that gives them the confidence that maybe I can come up with something unique.
So let me elaborate on that point. So I am not from either programming background, which you would have gathered. Yes, I did basic very early on in my childhood and then on. And then before joining SIBM, I was basically an English honors graduate from Anthraj College. I was a university second ranker though. So that was a good thing, that helped. And I kind of decided that I'll get into advertising. And I thought that's the right way to do it. SIBM has its brand name, and something that I really look forward to. And that's it. So it's not that I come with any heavy programming background, but it's skills that you can pick up. It's skills that you can pick up as long as you have the intuition for numbers, as long as you have the desire to understand it. If at a basic level you see a table of numbers and you really don't care, don't get into data. It's not meant for. It's not going to work. So I have team members like that also. They tell me, no, it doesn't mean anything to me. These ones, zeros, tens, fives, fours, they don't mean anything to me. And there are other team members who literally go mad and say, oh my God, just give me an hour. Let me get back to you in an hour. And just seeing that, gives them a level of happiness. So you have to gauge yourself. Where do you see yourself, right? And to me, yes, when I see those charts, suddenly it starts, I can see the charts happening in my head. So, they really do help. And then it's the interpretation. Then the other joy is the insights that you derive from it. And insights are a mix of your personal experiences, are a mix of what you actually see from the data as well. But, the story that you build, it's entirely what you want to create.
Thank you for your views, and I believe it's been really enlightening for everybody who will be watching this. So, we've come to the end for this interview, and it's been a great pleasure and an honor to host you. We would have loved to host you on campus, but for now we're doing this virtually. Maybe sometime later we'll have you on a lovely Hilltop on campus. So for now, sir, thank you. Thank you for informing us, the students, as well as the viewers, about the poetry hidden in the depths of data, that about the possibilities that even people who are not from a technical background can actually take up analytics. They just need to have the drive and the passion for it. Thank you, sir. Your alma mater will always be there for you and always welcome you to our lovely Hilltop campus. Thank you. And I hope you've had a pleasant experience.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you, sir.